Hi, I'm Dr. Jeffrey Riopelle from Riopelle Cosmetic Surgery Center in San Ramon, California. And this is one of a series of videos on the procedures that we do in our office. I'd like to talk to you about Fraxel. Fraxel is an urbian laser that came out several years ago that basically punches little tiny holes in the skin using urbium. The purpose of the procedure has been to smooth the skin and reduce brown pigmentation and irregularities. Fraxel was the first laser of its kind. And because it's urbium, it wasn't very strong. It needed to be performed 5 times approximately and had several days of downtime with each time the procedure was done. We now have further advances in terms of the fractionated technology, fractionated laser technology. The most recent advent is fractionated CO2 laser. And in our practice, we have the active FX and total FX and max FX. These are a step beyond the urbian laser in that CO2 is a much more potent, more aggressive laser that can do much more than urbium can. So in using the CO2, the old CO2 lasers used to be very aggressive, took off large amounts of skin, and had a 3 or 4 week recovery time. They got great results in most cases, but they had significant downtime and sometimes had fairly significant potential side effects that have been alleviated nowadays with the newer CO2 lasers. So the way the CO2 fractional laser works is it's punching little holes in the skin very similar to as if you were aerating a lawn. When we do lawn aeration, we take out plugs of grass and dirt, and then what happens over time is grass grows into those plugs and it actually thickens the grass. Well, it's very similar with the fractional CO2. We're taking out little plugs, tiny, tiny plugs, microscopic plugs of skin, and then over time the skin can grow in and fill in that area, and as it grows in and fills in, it actually regenerates, creating new skin, thicker skin, much nicer looking skin. There are really 2 types of fractional CO2 lasering. There's the deep type and the superficial type. The superficial is called active FX. And the active FX is used for brown spots, pigmentation, very similar to the Fraxel, except that it only takes 1 treatment. Now the downtime is 3 or 4 days, but what it does is it resurfaces the skin and makes it look much nicer, much healthier, getting rid of sun damage and pigmentation and irregularities and reducing pore size. The deep FX is a second treatment that can be done. It can be either done separately or in combination with the active FX, and it's primarily for fine lines and tightening the skin. So for example, we often get fine lines around the eyes, we get fine lines throughout the cheeks, fine lines around the lips, and this is where the deep FX is great. The deep FX goes much deeper than the active, but it's actually smaller little punches. And in going down deep, it then creates collagen growth down deep. And as the collagen grows, it tends to fill in again and create tightening, even some lifting in most cases, and filling in of the lines. It's also excellent for acne scars. Now for acne scars, you may need 3 treatments, but for fine lines and wrinkles, it's often just a single treatment. Downtime is up to about a week, but the healing process is pretty rapid. Usually by the 3rd or 4th day, women can wear makeup and go out and do things without other people being too aware of what they've done. I personally have had the fractional CO2 myself. I'm now 54 years old. I had it about a year and a half ago. And for what it did for me was it really smoothed my skin. It made my skin look much more even. It reduced the fine lines I had around the eyes. And it tightened up my skin. I was getting a little bit of jowling, and it actually lifted that out quite nicely. People who haven't seen me for a couple of years often say, "Wow, what have you done? You look so much different. You look so much younger." And that's the typical type of comment that we hear from patients all the time when they come back talking to us about how their results were regarding the total FX and the active FX. So we encourage you to come in, talk to us about the procedure. Our phone number is 925-575-0307. We have a whole array of procedures in our office. We have about 15 different technologies, and we can mix and match for virtually every skin type and every age to create just the right cosmetic procedure to help you out with improving the appearance of your skin and preventing aging down the line as well. So we hope to hear from you, and thank you very much for listening today.